Good morning. As a strong believer in storytelling, I'm going to begin by telling you one of my own. 2.5 years ago, in the spring of my freshman year of high school, my mother lost her job. And within 2 weeks, we could no longer afford our 2-bedroom apartment. We had no choice but to move out and enter what I call our time of transition. Several months of couch surfing with our closest friends who have since become family. My commute to school during this time went from taking 10 minutes to over 2 hours each way with 2 different bus changes. I was constantly worried about my family's financial situation, always wondering how much longer we could afford food, wondering how much longer I'd have to lie to my friends about where I lived, wondering how much longer I'd have to fill in that bubble marked no permanent address on school forms. I was angry and I felt insecure. I was angry at myself for feeling helpless and not being able to support my family in any way at the age of 15. I was angry at my father for living 3,000 miles away, living the high life in New York City while we struggled to make ends meet. And most of all, I was angry at my mother, who I blamed for this situation that we were in. I could not comprehend why my family situation deserved to be in that situation. I now realize that my anger at my mother was completely unreasonable of me. She was the one who was sacrificing, ensuring that we were healthy, together, and educated through all of our hardships. She found ways to be creative and protect us. At that time, I became fascinated by other people's hardships, probably to lighten my own spirits, distract myself, and understand a little bit more about what I was going through. During countless hours of sitting at bus stops in Old Town Portland within a 2-block radius of 6 different homeless shelters and services, through riding the bus or sharing an awning to escape the Portland rain, I listened to the stories of homeless women. I was inspired by the women I talked to, who lived in women-specific night shelters and transitional housing on the east side and traveled to Old Town for daytime services revolving around food and clothing. I felt safe talking to them, probably because I identified this sort of safe haven with my mother and sisters growing up in a house with a father who dealt with alcoholism and anger management issues. I was enchanted with their stories, the challenges they endured, their unexpected pleasures, the obstacles and pivotal moments that led them to their current situation. I began singing, serving food, and washing dishes at a local morning hospitality service at a downtown church. I asked every woman I met what they found most challenging about the situation. What was it that they were afraid to talk about, and what was it that I could do to help? Their responses surprised me. I had never thought about menstrual hygiene. Growing up, I never thought about what it would be like to get my period and not have anything to take care of myself. I began keeping a journal and wrote down the stories of them using stolen pillowcases, thrown out toilet paper, and brown grocery bags that they found on the street to maintain their periods. I became fascinated by this unaddressed need, noticing how women's shoulders rose and spoke as they spoke in nervousness when I asked them about it, or how they lowered their voices to a whisper when they mentioned the word periods, and looked around nervously as if they had something to hide. I began talking to different nonprofit organizations and found that none of them openly supported menstruation, whether due to a lack of funds or what they claimed as a lack of displayed need. Because women were afraid to come forward and declare that they needed help with their periods, and organizations, when they did have the supplies, were afraid to display them as an honor of respecting the woman's privacy. And I kind of concluded that this created a never-ending cycle of women being afraid to ask for the products and organizations being afraid to offer the products. These stories coming from women who were in much worse living situations than I was exploded whatever closed-minded and pessimistic mindset that I was in up until that point. Suddenly, I found myself waking up with this sort of excitement, this new feeling of immense gratitude. I came to a new understanding of how blessed I was to have the supportive network of family and friends around me, the connections and educational opportunities that I was provided with as a scholarship student at Catlin Gable. And most of all, how fortunate I am to have my mother in my life, who inspires me with her intelligence, resourcefulness, and strength. I now acknowledge how hard it was for her to get us back on her feet and put up with my pessimistic and stinging comments through our hardships. I began to feel that it was my obligation to utilize all my blessings to stand up for the women I met, and all women who feel silenced from advocating for their own natural needs. I vowed from then on to fully invest my work, time, and resources to becoming a change maker and helping the community of women I had connected with and who were less fortunate than I was. When my family saved enough for us to move back into our 2-bedroom apartment, I began dreaming of different ways that I could contribute and help women address this need for menstrual hygiene. I began applying to different programs and grants, and in the summer of my sophomore year, I was chosen to participate in the Vital Voices and Power Leadership Conference in DC, where I met women leaders who became my mentors from Argentina and Cameroon, Guatemala, India, and Syria, places of greater challenge and threat for women. That week changed my life because it provided me with an inspiration and example from women who had sacrificed, advocated, and persevered even under the threat of death. When I came back from my week in DC, I founded Cameons of Care. I specifically remember being so excited about it that I got up one day, finalized the idea in my head the night before, and just ran down the halls screaming tampons at one of my friends. And after explaining to him what a period was, and explaining to him what a tampon was, and showing him one from my backpack, I invited him to be my partner in crime with this as my operations director. Within the last 10 months, Cameons of Care has become a global 151c3 nonprofit that distributes feminine hygiene products globally and engages campus chapters at various universities and high schools around the nation. Through the service from our 1,500 volunteers, we have been able to distribute over 4,000 care packages to 22 nonprofit partners, from Just for Success in Oregon to the Mukuru slums in Nairobi, Kenya, where girls are required to stay home during their periods, missing school and quickly falling behind their male counterparts. Altogether, we continue to pursue our mission of advocacy, underscoring the importance of every single individual having the right to the resources to address their natural needs, and providing all people with the confidence and dignity that they need to reach their full potential. We became involved with Dress for Success when I realized that it, too, is dedicated to helping women address their needs in order to reach their full potential, and helping women who don't want to give up, but don't know how to get back on their feet and back to a productive lifestyle. The mission and services of Dress for Success Oregon are so important to the stabilities of not only families, but our overall community. I'd like to tell you about 2 personal experiences that really reiterated this point to me. First, Just for Success empowers women to feel confident and engage in the world of purpose. In addition to Cameons of Care, for the past couple of years, I have worked multiple jobs to help support my family and pay for school fees. During the summer, I work full-time as a legal assistant and substitute paralegal at a local law firm here in downtown Portland. I have felt the empowerment that comes with getting up in the morning, getting ready for work, and walking out the door with a feeling of confidence and dignity, ready to work. I've worked alongside women who have needed help from Dress for Success to find jobs and become prepared to re-enter the workforce, including family services to ensure childcare. Secondly, I had a front row seat, watching my mother experience losses during our rocky time of transition. It has helped me that anyone can hit bottom and will need help at some time, and that is okay. I witnessed my mom, who has 2 Ivy League degrees, go from working as a corporate lawyer and as an executive director of nonprofits her own, to close to poverty and homelessness. It has been extremely difficult to see how hard it has been for her to raise my sisters and me on her own, and how hard it has been for her to resurrect her life and her career. Through my mother, through the women I have met, and through my own work leading others, I have learned how little support there is for women and how much is needed, how much room there is for growth, for the special challenges we face as women and the burdens that we carry. Supporting women in pursuing their purpose and finding confidence and empowerment through their work has a domino effect on families and our community. In supporting a mother through work, helping her gain confidence and earn money to support her family, organizations like Just for Success helps build a stable home environment where kids can grow, learn, and become leaders themselves. In the bigger picture, by supporting more women in the workforce, we are catalyzing a more equitable community in which more voices are heard and more people are supported. Just for Success works towards this and empowers women to overcome challenges, to reach their potential. I believe in this organization strongly, and I believe that the impact it makes through its services and mission not only helps women find employment, but creates a lasting effect upon our entire community. Thank you.